Okay. Thank you and welcome everyone to the April 21st Police and Fire Commission for the City of Fitchburg. If you notice in our notice, there's a little more writing than usual in there because we wanted to make sure there was a follow-up. As you may have known, we were scheduled last Monday, just 2 days ago, for a 6:30 meeting, but the Transportation Committee ran more than a half hour, and so the city ordinance said that we couldn't take action items. So we didn't do any action items. We want to make sure that people knew that. And that also it notices that this is my, this will be my last meeting. I'll be done, I think, next Tuesday once the city council takes position on my position. Sarah, did you want to relay anything too as far as last night's meeting or?
Yeah, we had a council meeting last night to approve the appointment of Sheena Amble to the PFC, but unfortunately she wasn't able to make it, and I think that was, she wasn't notified she had to be there last night. So she'll be on the agenda for April 27th. So Ron and Sheena, if you could please be at the council meeting on Tuesday, April 27th. You'll both be on the agenda for appointment to the Police and Fire Commission.
Okay,
and so what that means for today is that you can be in on the meeting and you can be in our closed session, but you just can't take any action.
So, okay, well, thank you for that. Seeing as it's a couple minutes past 4:30, I would like to call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. There's 4 members, Rosa, Tom, and Jeff. The second item of business will be approval of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to look at those? And is there a motion? These are the minutes of March 17th.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Okay.
As drafted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Rosa seconds. Any discussion, corrections? Okay, if not, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, unanimous. Okay, the next item, public appearances for non-agenda items, and I think we have someone who wants to say something. Correct?
I think that Jason's speaking to a closed item session, so it is an agenda item.
That's
Okay.
correct, Tom. It's an agenda item, so I don't know if you want me to speak now, or I can speak whenever. It's up to you.
Well, let's take it up at the start of that item. Okay, it'll take us then to number 4, report of the police department.
I think we were looking for a motion to move the fire department business ahead of the police department
Okay, yes,
business tonight.
thank you. Would somebody ask,
I move.
okay, to move the fire department ahead? Okay, is
Yeah.
there
Change
any
the
objection?
order and move the fire department to the next item on the agenda.
Okay, and we could actually, well, rather than asking any next, let's just all vote to approve. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so we're at the fire department.
The first item for the fire department is the staffing report. Gives you a little bit of an idea of what activity has been like over the past month and up to date through the year, trending over a 3-year time frame. The staffing report on the second page is up to date. We will have recommendations today for intern firefighters. We have a recommendation for paid on premise, and then we also have the excuse me here. We have a resignation that we need to speak about, but right now everything is about where it usually is. The ebbs and flows of paid on premise membership. We've had some people leave over the past couple of months. We are going to be starting a recruit academy or a recruit training session for minimum skills coming up here in a month, because of the fact that we have 4 to 5 people that 4 to 5, not 45, 4 to 5 people that are eligible for that training. And so with that, Any questions about the staffing report?
I can't see
Rosa, can you see the screen? Is it shared on my screen?
that. It is.
I can make it bigger for
Yeah,
sure.
make it a little bigger, please. Oh, let me see.
Here we go. Is that a little bit better?
Yeah, it is. Thank
Okay.
you.
You bet.
Okay, if not, let's go to item 2, follow-up from last month's fire department hiring policies.
So the policies, one thing that was brought to my attention from Tom O'Day was in the accountability section of the standard operating policy is to take out the word contractual. We did that. And then moving to the end of the policy, there was talk about how you didn't want the hiring policy to speak independent of the rules and regulations. And so I cited in there where in the rules and regulations those things are identified as far as some of the specification that we're looking for internally. The reason why this is important is because of the fact that I want our staff to know that if they come up with interview questions, it's not something that they can just put into the interview. We want to vet those questions in advance. And then same thing for the hiring panel. We want to make sure that it's well-rounded, community representative. And so those types of things we wanted to spell out a little bit more specifically from a direction standpoint. It still follows along with the PFC rules and regulations, and the section of the regulations has been cited. So is there any questions about that?
Any questions? Tom, I think you delved into this probably the most since the last meeting.
No, I don't think so. And Chief, what are you thinking, and maybe this is where you're going next, but what are you thinking in terms of implementation with the policies?
The implementation would be immediate. And the reason why I say that is it's actually going to come up here due to a resignation on our intern side. And we're going to have to convene a panel because we need to open up the process again.
Okay. The other thing the commission should know is that after our last meeting, we, by we, I mean, on behalf of the commission, the mayor and I wrote a letter to Chief Povelmacher saying that he, could move forward with this as long as it meets the, what was stated as far as meeting the PFC policies that we, rules and policies that we had adopted. So, anything else on that? If not, Sarah, I believe you had a conversation with Valerie as to the participation before the closed session or during the closed session?
Yes, absolutely. So Ron and Sheena can definitely be part of the closed session. So it's at the discretion of the Police and Fire Commission as to who gets to be part of the closed session. So it is permissible. It just means you can't take action though because you're not an official member, but you're welcome to stay in with the closed session.
And then the other question though was Jason Gonzalez, as far as, I think he wanted to make a statement?
Yep, so he can make a statement before our closed session. He has as much time as he would like. If he would have spoke at the very beginning on a non-agenda item, that's where it's only 3 minutes. But since he's speaking to an actual agenda item, he has the floor.
Okay, Mr. Gonzalez?
Thank you, commissioners. First of all, for those who don't know me, but I think all of you do know me, my name is Jason Gonzalez. I'm currently a candidate for a paid on call / paid on premise firefighter position. By way of who I am, I was a paid on call firefighter with the city of Fitchburg from April 2007, an active paid on call firefighter until April of 2013. In April of 2013, I was elected to be an alderperson in District 3. I served in District 3 as an alderperson from 2013 to 2017. During that time, I was on a leave of absence at the consult of then City Attorney Mark Sewell. And then from 2017 to 2019, I served as mayor. I resigned from the fire department when I took office as mayor. Since then, in the summer of 2020, well, first of all, when I initially was on the fire department, I was an EMT, IV tech, as well as I had my firefighter 1 and firefighter 2 and driver operator certifications, some of which Fitchburg Fire Department paid for. Unfortunately, due to not being actively involved in EMS, I let my EMS license lapse. In preparation to come back to the fire department, I completed an EMT course they sometimes previously referred to as EMT Basic in the summer of 2020 at Gateway Technical College in Burlington. I'm currently in the fall started a paramedic program at Madison College that many of Fitch-Rona full-time staff are instructors, either full-time or part-time or run the program. So I'm currently enrolled in the paramedic. We're finishing our cardiology section coming up tomorrow with our final, as well as because I had AEMT before, I am taking that course. It's kind of a repeat of paramedic, but I want to be able to function at that level. As far as where I currently reside off of Black Oak Drive, which many of you might know is it's literally like across the street from a section of the city of Fitchburg that's off of Raymond Road. So I would be able to respond actively as a paid on call firefighter to incidents that require backfilling. As far as I started in the fire service in 2003 with the town of Madison, and then Chief David Bloom of the town of Madison became the chief of the Village of Oregon Area Fire EMS District. And I went over there and became an EMT Basic. And then during the summer of 2006, I did the IV Tech at Gateway Technical College with 2 other individuals, one of which is involved in what I'm about to address. And after I was there, I functioned as a lead EMT and a crew chief. In 2019, there was an article published in the newspaper based off of a public request that was sent on December 19, 2017 by an individual that lives in the city of Madison named Amelia Royko Maurer. In that, she requested my personnel file from the Village of Oregon Fire Department. In that personnel file was disciplinary action related to what the chief termed harassment. In particular, the term sexual harassment was used. Now, Chief Pulvermacher and I had a long discussion about this, as well as Ms. Olson went and investigated my personnel file. The matter, though even being disclosed in December 19, 2017, nothing was done with it until my campaign in 2019 for re-election, and it was used by Ms. Royko Maurer. No one in city of Fitchburg was involved, or city of Fitchburg politics directly. That being said, I was disciplined. I explained my role in it. I provided all the information. Chief Pulvermacher, I believe, when he gets his chance to explain what his investigation showed that my involvement was 2 things. As a senior member of the crew, I had a duty and responsibility to interject with what was occurring. But 2, I was not the primary, for lack of a better term, aggressor. But I acknowledged it when it came up. The member who was harassed had contacted, said something at her school about the other member who I had referred to, did my EMT IV Tech class with. That the chief then did an investigation. I spoke with the chief, Dave Bloom. Chief Bloom realized I had said an inappropriate thing directed towards the male that was in the IV Tech class with me, and that was the person of concern with the person who was harassed. And I can use names, but I'm just trying not to, because they're not really relevant here. This is about me and my ability to be a firefighter here in the city of Fitchburg. And so what happened is that individual placed a phone call to the female member. It was late at night. It was me, him, and another individual in the room. I was working on homework as I was finishing my undergrad degree. And he started talking inappropriately to her. I responded by using some inappropriate Sometimes people in the past have said firehouse language, but it's not acceptable in the firehouse, and I acknowledge that. I called him an inappropriate word. I'm not going to say it publicly, but I said 2 appropriate words related to him. She was on the phone. She heard that. We fast forward. He got off the phone. I get contacted by Chief Bloom saying, I got a complaint about this other individual making phone calls. It looks like you were also working that night. You were present. I explained my participation. I cooperated with his investigation, told him what I had said, what I had observed. He determined that because I was involved with this, I didn't stop it. I was the crew chief. And frankly, I was the most senior member there in terms of years of service on the department as well as age. I think I might have been in 2007 in my early 20s. I think 21 or 22. I should have stepped in. I acknowledged that. He determined it was a violation of policy and he disciplined me. I did what was required of my discipline. And I think that's important because this is the one and only disciplinary matter in my history related to this type of behavior. And I think discipline is important because the purpose of discipline is to rectify that behavior. And I changed that. And I think it's also important to realize that this behavior occurred while I was a member of the Fitchburg Fire Department. So it's not something that's occurred in the interim. I understand that it does raise some concerns for Chief Pulvermacher and perhaps Ms. Olson and the Police and Fire Commission. But I think the 13 plus years intervening since then, I have matured. I am in a different position in life. And that goes to my next issue. Around the same time as well, I had missed shifts both in Oregon and in Fitchburg. And I think that I signed up for, and I should have. The bigger issue was that I no-called, no-show. I should have just picked up the phone and it probably wouldn't have been the bigger deal that it became because I no-called, no-show. And I think what's different now is I'm in a different position in life. I'm choosing to do this because I want to continue to serve the city of Fitchburg, a city I care for, the most per capita city, diverse city in Dane County, a department that has a progressive leadership that is trying to reflect the diversity of its city. And I feel that I'm in a position to be successful, to be a contributing member to this department. Here's how I'm different. When I was in college, my job with the fire department, I was using that to pay my bills. It paid an hourly wage. That was the job. So I was trying to work more than I should have been working, taking a full credit load. I can tell you now, I'm a practicing attorney. I have to sign up for shifts, and I will sign up for shifts if I'm ultimately appointed, but they won't be every weekend. It won't be 48 hours a week or more like I was trying to do back then, because that's not my goal, is to make money for this. My goal is to continue to serve the city of Fitchburg. Now, past mayors, past alders have chosen to be involved in continuing service towards the city after their time in office. Many of them chose to participate on committees. You can look at the current makeup. Some of them are there, some of them aren't. Some of them are still involved in other ways, which my decision, though, I've always loved public safety. It's always been something near and dear to me. And so my decision on wanting to come back to the city of Fitchburg is because of that, and come back to the fire department in which I had been on, that I know the level of professionalism, the level of training, the fact that the city, both as a firefighter and as an elected office, equips its department to be successful. That's why I want to be on the city of Fitchburg. I am willing to answer any specific questions related to any behavior that you might have concerns with. I did decide to wait a year. Last year I put in, but I just ultimately decided I think there should be some more sort of reset from my recent involvement as mayor, and let Mayor Richardson sort of get his feet under him, get into his tenure and be successful. I actually talked with Mayor Richardson last year about that. He had no issue with me coming back to the fire department then, but after discussion, much thought, the fact that I would need to get some level of EMS license and balancing life and work and this, I felt that the best route to go would be to get my EMT license and then come back in the next process. And that's where we're at right now. So I'm more than willing to answer any questions that any of you have. Some of you know me personally already, and so I would like the opportunity. I just would say this, you're giving me an opportunity. If you accept me, I would be a probationary firefighter again, obviously, and I recognize that. And what that means is that I have to prove that I'm going to follow, I'm going to be successful, I'm going to be a positive contributing member to this department. And if I'm not going to continue to have that opportunity to be a paid on call or paid on premise firefighter. Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Question.
Go ahead.
You know, I know Jason personally, and I did abstain last time. But I do have a question of you, Jason, just because I've known you for a while, and I've known you also have interest in the police department. So, which it's your right, okay? Is that something you're still pursuing also?
So I have not been, the last process I was in the process I think that you were made aware of. I have not entered into any processes since then. Main reason being, I'm trying to I can't do both. I mean, honestly, with the paramedic program, it's a very intensive program. It's meets Tuesday, Thursday evening. You know, I'm preaching to the choir. I mean, Miss Amble knows the level of dedication it takes to go to the paramedic level, and then the continued training. I know she at one point was a paramedic, and I decided that is not something I'm pursuing at this particular time. Now, I can't tell you if I will go back to that in the future. I would note that there are departments in the state of Wisconsin and across the country that frankly do both. In particular, Ashwaubenon, the department that polices and provides EMS and fire protection for the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field, is actually a public safety division. So they, at part of the day, do patrol work, and then the other part of the day they do fire EMS. So it's not uncommon, but at this point I'm not doing that. I'm looking to finish and be successful. I made the dean's list in my last semester related to my paramedic program. So that's what I'm interested in investing in it. And this is a bridge towards doing that. We've gotten through what I would term the hardest part, respiratory and cardiac. As of tomorrow, cardiac will be over with. And we're kind of, my program won't be done until December. Well, November, I think, is formally when the classes stop, but we take the national registry, I believe, in December of 2021. So it's an 18-month course, to put in perspective, because it's a part-time course. So at this point in time, I'm interested, and again, like I alluded to, I'm not applying for a career position. This position is more interested in sort of my ability to give back to the community. I mean, it's, as many of you know, I have a history of volunteering. I did the Big Brothers Big Sisters for over a decade with a Spanish-speaking gentleman named Fabian, who's actually still, I just wrote a letter for him regarding his DACA stuff. So I have been involved in volunteering, and I consider this to be what I would say is my hobby or my way of giving back, as I indicated. Other people have chosen to, as I said, join committees or commissions. I am not interested in that anymore. I had my time to serve the city of Fitchburg in a political or appointment role, and I am ready to move on from that. And I think you can see that in the sense of I haven't really been involved in Fitchburg politics whatsoever since I left office.
Hi. Is it okay? I don't know. Can I speak on this?
I
haven't been sworn in.
Well, I
yet.
think
just
you
have a
can
question.
you can speak or ask questions, but I don't know, you can't vote, I don't,
Right.
yet, so.
Okay. Jason, I don't know you personally, but it sounds to me that you would definitely have public servant in your blood. That is a passion. It sounds to be a passion of yours. I don't know the whole story, but the only question that popped up in my head was, are the others that were involved in that incident, are they still on Fitchburg Fire?
So the incident didn't involve Fitchburg Fire. It involved Oregon Area Fire and EMS District, and this is something I talked with Chief Paul Vermacher about. The gentleman who was the one who placed the call, unfortunately, life took him in a very different direction. He, while he was an intern, he got charged with sexual assault up in the northern county. He then got a pretty good deal, was reduced to a disorderly conduct. He subsequently got hired full-time by the Oregon Fire Department.
Okay.
Then while he was working there, he subsequently got charged with incest and sexual assault of a child in Greene County. I can give you his name if you'd like
No,
that.
that's okay. No, I was just curious if they were present, if they were active on Fitchburg. That would be my only
The
concern.
other gentleman
So
was,
that, yeah, no, that's all I need to know. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you. Yeah, that's the only question. So I just would think about the others, but thank you. I think this is very brave of you to come up and ask. And I think that speaks a lot too. And looks like your history since then has been very positive. So
and the other thing I would say is, the one thing I can tell you about sort of my relationship, Rose, I consider like a second mom, first of all. She always has given me advice, and Chief Pulvermacher, I consider a mentor, and he has provided feedback to me, some, just like Rosa has, that hasn't always been what I wanted to hear. But I think I take constructive criticism well. I don't, and I believe I can be successful here. And I've got gray hair now. I'm 37 years old. I'm not 21 like I was back then, sort of, young and dumb. So thank you. And again,
sometimes we learn the hard way, right? We learn the hard way. So,
Yes.
all right. Thank you.
Things that I would like to add to Jason's comments, and I don't think is subject.
You said you just wanted to add to his comments, because I think we want to ask questions of both you and Sarah in closed session too.
Yeah, this would not be a closed session thing. This is something that is, I think, valuable to the open comment. And then, yes, as far as the investigation and those types of things, we'll save that for the closed session. Jason is fully aware of the fact that this is going to be a role reversal. Whereas when he was mayor, I was reporting to him, and he knows at this point that if he is appointed to the fire department, I would not be reporting to him, and he would be reporting to his supervisor, who likewise would report to me. So, and whereas in the past, Jason was the voice of the city of Fitchburg, he is not the designated voice for the Fitchburg Fire Department, and that's another important point to take in, knowing full well that he appreciates what he's getting himself involved in, and the chain of command that is requisite of our membership.
Okay, does anybody else have any other public comments before closed session? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I think the next order will be to go into closed session, and we need to read the statute and the purpose for going into the closed session before we do so.
I'm going to log off, Sarah, because you guys are going to go into closed session. So
Right.
thank you all.
Somebody you want,
Sure,
Jeff
I'll
or
read it,
Rosa?
unless Jeff wants to read it from there.
Sure, I can. Pursuant to section 1985-1C, Wisconsin statutes, the commission will move into closed session for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, more specifically, to notice the commission on an intern resignation and to make a hiring recommendation for the fire science intern and paid on-call firefighter.
Okay, there's the motion. Is there a second to go into the closed session?
Second,
Rosa, okay. All those in favor, we need to, I guess you could ask unanimous consent to do it, but I think we could also just say in favor going into closed session, signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
Okay, we're in closed session? Okay, thank you. Welcome back into open session. Follow up from items in closed session.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to accept the fire chief's hiring recommendation for 4 paid on-call firefighters.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
second,
Okay, Rosa, seconds. Any discussion? All in favor of following the chief's recommendations, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Other items?
Yes, I would like to make a second motion to accept the fire chief's hiring recommendation for 4 fire service interns.
Okay. And is there a second to that motion, Tom?
Second?
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of the chief's recommendation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay,
I think we have one more.
one more?
Yep.
Okay.
And I just would like to acknowledge the resignation of an intern
Okay,
for our service.
yeah, okay, so there's just the acknowledgement of resignation. Okay, takes us to the police department. Back on the agenda. Staffing report, chief?
One second as I grab it here. And Sarah has it up as well. So the staffing report as of a couple weeks ago or a week or so ago is as follows. We have 2 current vacancies in the department, as you can see in the police officer column or row. Currently have 2 officers who are on leave or restricted duty. That typically is more than 30 days. So that leaves us with a total of 4 unfilled patrol positions, and Officer Eisenzimmer, which we'll learn about later, is retiring May 4th.
Okay.
And then, as you can see, the requisite demographics and retirement age eligible sworn staff that we typically list. Any questions?
Nope.
No.
Thank you. In the age of COVID, are people having, what kind of retirement acknowledgements?
Ones that comply with Public Health Madison-Dane County recommendations.
All right, thank you. Okay. Other, let's see, it puts us on Town of Madison hiring process.
Chad, do you want me to give an update on that?
Yeah, I was trying to get my mic on. Yes, please, sir, if you could take that. You are well more in tune to that than I am.
Yeah, we had the Town of Madison process posted for a few weeks. We only had 2 applicants from the Town of Madison. So as you know, they're going to go through the annexation. So they won't have a job after that. So we posted a lateral police officer that was only open to Town of Madison. And again, only 2 people applied. We're going to be doing a recruitment with the City of Madison, joint interviews. And so they only had 6 that applied. And of the 6, 2 of the ones that applied with us applied with them. So yeah, it'll be a very small day of interviews, only 6 interviews on May 12th. So after that, we'll know whether or not we'll be making recommendations to the PFC in June for hiring of the 2 that applied. And of course, I think that's pending budget approval. Is that correct, Chad?
Yeah, conditional offers wouldn't be necessarily extended until the summertime, July-ish, and those would not be available positions until budget after November. We obviously have a request for additional sworn positions coming up in next year's operating budget so that these officers could potentially fill those.
Okay. Next would be some items for closed session. Does somebody want to read the statute and the purpose?
Tom, if I
Go
could,
ahead, Tom.
on the Town of Madison, how many police officers were available total? And so we can calculate how many officers chose not to apply for either the City of Madison or City of Fitchburg.
Yeah, it was probably about 10 officers total that they had, but then a few of them we're going to be retiring or whatnot. So, oh boy, now I'm wondering if my numbers are correct. Chad, do you know off the top of your head?
I believe it
actually,
was
what
12 total. They have 12 sworn
12.
staff from the least senior police officer to the chief of police. And about half of those folks apparently have indicated that they do not intend to seek employment with either city, at least as police officers. So that left a total of 6 that have elected to seek employment.
Great, thanks.
Okay, somebody want to read the statute and purpose to go into closed session?
I would read it unless Tom wants to do it from there.
Go ahead, Rosa.
Okay. Pursuant to section 19.85, paren 1, paren C, Wisconsin statute, the commission will move into closed session for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, more specifically, to make hiring recommendations for police officer, to remove the probationary status of 3 officers, and to notice the commission of a retirement.
Okay, is there a second?
Second?
Everyone's okay? All those in favor of going into closed session signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're in closed session.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
okay, we voted to go back into open session. Actions out, Jeff?
Yeah. I would like to make a motion to accept the police chief's recommendations of making conditional offers to police officers.
Okay, is there a second?
Second?
Okay, a second, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Next,
I have a
Rosa?
motion.
Go ahead, Rosa.
Okay. I move that we accept the recommendation of the police chief to remove the probationary status of officers Brett Hammermeister, Matt Overstreet, and Ariana Richley, and be appointed to a regular employment status.
Okay, and is there a second to the motion following the recommendation?
I second.
Second, all in favor? Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, I think that, anything else, chief? On there, okay. That puts us back on the agenda for number 6, which is the next PFC meeting, election of PFC officers. And that was just my notes there to, you will have, and actually with the, Joe may have a motion here to have a special meeting. The May meeting is when the PFC officers are met. Or you folk, the commission meets to elect the officers of the PFC. And Rosa, as VP, will run that meeting. One of the things to suggest is that she contacts, or she has me contact the next week. I'm only on another week. To prepare a slate and discussion, based on, experience and who would like the positions. And so that'll be taken up at the next, or at the May meeting, the election of officers. But especially, Jeff and Tom, think about, we want to have, experience. And Rosa, I think, may have some thoughts on that as well, so.
I always do.
Pardon? You always do, yes. And we want to hear them. Okay. Next is statement of PFC responsibilities, future of PFC. Here, this was just an item I wanted to kind of cover as I was leaving, thinking this would maybe be my last meeting. I appreciated our meeting, on Monday, and a chance for everyone to meet the new commissioners. I appreciated that we were able to, thank everyone for all the time on the PFC. Thank our chiefs, because I think our chiefs and the departments are excellent. And especially thank Sarah. One of the things that I wanted to leave with you as I was leaving was constructive ways to improve our police and fire departments, constructive ways to improve the PFC and the city. And one of the ways we do that is obviously leading by example. And I've seen various different actions by boards where they're not at least trying to follow Robert's Rules of Orders and trying to make sure they do it. And I think it's very important that you continue to keep improving. You really want to do the right things for the right reasons, the right time, and the right way. And if you keep focusing on that, I think you'll do that. The systems in place, we want to make sure we have good systems in place, for the police and fire departments and how they do that. And I think there are good ones. But again, keeping to try and improve. And I think when we revised our rules, we looked at that. And I think we've made some positive steps that way. As seen in tonight's meeting, we want to make sure we're following the open meeting laws. It's very important for citizens to know that, they can trust that, we're trying to make sure that we're doing it right and making sure that actions, are open and transparent, and that actions that, might be sensitive and are authorized to go into closed session, well, that's all. But if it's a policy decision or it's, the hiring decisions, that is out in the open. The accountability of the chiefs, I truly appreciate Chief Brecklin, Chief Pulvermacher, and, what your service and your departments have done. When we looked at hiring a new chief 3.5 years ago, it was accountability was the number one thing that the citizens wanted. That's the number one thing that the staff wanted. And I really appreciate what you both are doing on those fronts. And the more we can do to have those measures in place, the better off the departments will be. I would kind of offer to the city government and to the commission, don't micromanage the chiefs, but use what statutory authority you do have to do it right, and it's limited to, the hiring and discharge of chiefs, the approval of the hiring, promotion and disciplinary actions. And it's so it is limited, and be a resource for them if you can to help them. But again, let the chiefs do their jobs. I think it's very important, and the five of you, after I'm gone, are going to be deciding who the next chief is. And I think there's some things there that I think are really important to consider in the process, in the openness of the process, in the fact that you're going to get to the best candidate that meets the greatest, meets the needs of the city, meets the needs of the department. You've got, I think that'll be a big role that you'll have and a big responsibility to make sure that you're hiring, the right fit. That you're going to, you've got a good culture, but you want to improve the culture, and you got to figure out where that's going to be and who he or she may be in that position. And you want to draw in, the most candidates that you can, and you want to be able to figure out who is acceptable and then who's more than acceptable, and then concentrate on those that are more than acceptable. It's important that the chiefs really promote the culture within the departments that is where the citizens want to be, what we want in a department. And so with that, you have a big job coming up. I think we're all very fortunate that we have a chief who's going to be helping out, as far as city government overall. And again, congratulations, Chief. And I think it's going to be important to make sure that whoever comes in can get help. But then again, there is a bright line that in fact the police chief is the police chief, the administrator is the administrator. So I think that's something that'll be helpful. The other thought is that, you, you will have, and we'll let the, with Joe coming up, but, you will actually, gonna have a process that Sarah will help you with. I mean, I would count on Sarah. There are some records that are still available that helped on the timeline and whatnot, but you have to figure what you want to change in that process. And, and that's gonna be up to the five of you, how you want to do that. But Sarah's gonna have some good guidance, I think, that may help, on the timeline and, what you're looking for. Because you want to have citizens trust the process. You want to have the officers that are currently working in the department trust the process, that you get to the best person possible. See, I just had jotted a few notes about, getting the most qualified person you can. I'm still a resource if you want to use me, having hired chiefs before, whether it be at DNR or here, you can always pick my brain if you like. So I just wanted to offer that. And again, it's all about service. And I appreciate the fact that we have a fire department and a police department that are really, it's about serving the public, and that's the mentality. And I think that's, what you want to continue with and figure out who's best to do that, where they really focus on service. So that's it as far as I have on, your responsibilities. I'm glad we got the statutory. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, and I'll just make a comment, and we recognized your service last week, or earlier this week, I guess, and thank you again for that. But for me, a statement on PFC responsibilities, the professionalism of this commission under your leadership has been wonderful. And I don't think that professionalism has always been a part of the City of Fitchburg Common Council, and maybe some other commissions or committees as well, but your leadership has meant a lot with respect to the professionalism of this commission, and hopefully we can carry that into the future as well.
Well, thank you. I make mistakes too, but I at least try to be on top of everything. So, yeah, thank you for that.
And I guess so I've served on the commission with you for quite a while, and I would just say that I completely agree with that. I'm not a follower of Robert's rules. I'm not a big fan, actually. And when I first started, I wouldn't have said that that's something that I would have respected and wanted to follow. I do now. And I owe that some to you and the previous president, actually, Greg. So both of you guys did a great job and really have taught me a lot in that regard.
Thanks. Okay, I think we want to go to announcements. Are there announcements?
I have an announcement, actually a request of the commission to make a motion to establish a quorum so that we can identify the process for second year intern.
Okay, I think based on that, I think we'll ask Sarah what we can do.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that, because I was hoping we could get a meeting on the calendar to just talk about the police chief process and proposed timeline and next steps. So that would be wonderful if we could get an early May meeting. I was kind of thinking, Joe, I don't know what your thoughts are, but maybe the first week in May, perhaps Wednesday, May 5th at 4:30. I don't know if everyone has availability then, but I could send out a doodle poll too, and just a few different dates and times, and just see if that works for the majority.
I would do that, several dates to see.
Absolutely, will do. Yep, and Joe, I'll work with you on that too. Make sure you're available.
Chief Pulvermacher, for purposes of this hire and process, what is the timeline that you need in order to effectively fill this role?
Well, I was going to close, I was going to open up applications tomorrow. Close, and that's with posting and with advertising. Close applications on May 2nd, and then review applications on May 3rd. If we're waiting until the first week of May, That pushes us back 2 weeks. The reason and this has really nothing to do with any specific candidate as much as it has to do with the start time of all of the interns, because we're running training with our paid on premise, our interns at the same time, and that starts in late May, early June. Trying to be conscientious of the training that needs to happen with the minimum skills. So
Chief,
if we're waiting until the first week of May, that means I'm not likely to be able to start the second year intern on time with everybody else.
I guess the question would be whether or not, you know, in that window of May 6th, it pushes you back a week. You know, and it sounded like it was, why don't you give what the process you're gonna potentially propose?
Yeah, May 6th pushes me back 2 weeks.
Put some dates out for the next week already. I mean, that's the week you're probably looking for, Joe, is next weekend. I take it.
Well, I am obviously very conscientious of everybody's schedules. The sooner the better. That's what I'll say.
Okay. So maybe, and I guess I would also alert the commission, one of the things, and Rosa could talk about this too, and that is, as you move forward with the chiefs, you're gonna have more than one a month meeting, especially as you get closer to, you know, going through those final, you know, candidates. And the other thing to be aware of is that I think it's gonna be important that you set up the system so that it's not just the interviews, that's the backgrounds, the background checks that they give you, the background checks that you do as far as references, so that you see the full picture of the final individuals that you're looking at. So that's just,
I'm sorry, do we have to vote on something? Is there a motion? Because I need to leave the meeting. So.
I don't think there's anything else we have to vote on.
No,
It's just-
I don't think there is for,
It's trying to find when we could have a meeting as soon as possible that you got a
Okay,
quorum.
You can let me know on time. I'll see you next week. I'll call you next week. Bye, everybody.
okay.
Okay, so I think, you know, maybe Sarah, you know, I don't know if you use doodles, because it depends
I'll
on
send a doodle
you and it
poll
depends
out.
on everybody.
Yep, I'll send a doodle poll out with some dates next week and then the following week.
And I know that, I think Ron and Sheena get approved next Tuesday,
Correct. Yep.
so. And Rosa, did she leave?
Yep.
Yep.
Because she's gonna have to run the meeting, you know, until you had your election. So,
Yeah, I guess I would just advocate that we do it sooner than later, because I do think that I appreciate the process. I think we should follow it. I think you're spot on. But Monday or Tuesday of next week would be optimal, I think, as far as just making sure that we're maintaining a timely manner here.
so maybe a Wednesday meeting possibly.
Well, if we do it next week, Monday, Tuesday, I don't know that we'll have a quorum. Well, if we have Rose, because Sheena and Ron won't be on till the 27th, Tom will be off by then.
Okay.
So
So I suppose if we just need 3 members for a quorum. So I guess if we have Rosa, Jeff, and O'Day, then we're okay. So, all right, just trying to talk about that out loud.
Okay,
And the shortest period of time is a 24-hour notice period, is that right?
Correct.
And this would be
Yep,
the
yeah.
only agenda item that we would look at. So it can be pretty quick, I would suspect.
Well, I mean, ideally, I'd like to have a meeting in early May with the PFC just about the police chief process, so that we can get looking at timeline, thoughts, and ideas for how to, you know, what we did in the past, what other municipalities are doing. I just don't think I'm going to have that ready on Monday already. So we might end up, either I'll have to wait until our May meeting, and then we'll just have a meeting next week with this one agenda item. And if that's what we gotta do, that's okay.
so we should
And
check
if I
on the
may,
possibility of next.
One thing I can do is I can send out the schedule in advance as far as what I was thinking. As long as none of you contact me together and it's one at a time, I can answer questions, and then at the meeting, we can address that in a public forum. So I'll send out the schedule for the second year intern process, so you have an idea of what I'm thinking.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else as far as announcements? So you'll be making those contacts individually. So we make sure we're following that. Okay. And figure out a time where we can meet and properly notice.
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Get your second vaccines if you haven't already had them. I saw there was 100 people hospitalized in Wisconsin today, it was announced, and it's like, we gotta make sure that we're doing what we can to keep people safe, so. Thank you, everyone. It's been an honor to serve with all of you, and you'll still see me around. Take care, thanks, bye-bye.
Thanks.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay, Tom was second.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good way to end.